Hello, I'm making this video specifically to talk about covenants and how when you choose a covenant, you're locked in. And the idea is that, according to Ian Hazzikostas, that it's a choice with consequences, and it's kind of like a sub-spec or a subclass. I never made a video like this before, and I'm doing it specifically because there's a lot of talk about min-maxers going on, and um, I, on the other hand, am a father of four with work. I work 40 to 50 hours a week, so I don't have a lot of time to dedicate, and so I used to raid and min-max, and I just don't have time to be bothered with those things at this point. So I have I think, a different approach, a different feeling about how to approach this. And so, but I also fall on the side of thinking that it is a bad idea for actually a lot of reasons. So I'm just going to go through story perspectives for why I think being forced into a covenant that you have to stick with just one doesn't make sense from a story flavor perspective, um, from an MMO perspective, from an RPG perspective, and then also just as a father, and how I'm impacted by the amount of time I can give and my gameplay experience as a result of my time constraints. So as far as the story, the machinery of death has broken, and we are living, characters going to the Shadowlands. So this is already an unusual situation. As far as I know, nothing like this has ever happened in the lore, and so we're going to be called Maw Walkers. I mean, we have a special place. We serve a special role within this place of the Shadowlands. So um, I guess with that in mind, it doesn't make any sense to me how allegiances fit into that. So, for example, choosing to be Kyrian or Night Fae, um, why would I choose just one of those? I forget the name of the other two. I'm just going to use Kyrian and Night Fae as my examples. So we are literally all working together for a common purpose. In fact, it's called serving the purpose. In, we are all allied together against the jailer, and I mean, we already know that he's the final boss. So that being the case, um, I don't understand where allegiances fit in story wise. This isn't like the Horde versus the Alliance. We're literally all working together. And maybe Kyrian and Night Fae never get together and hang out, or anything like that, but it doesn't matter. If I were to join Night Fae, that shouldn't make the Kyrian hate me or dislike me in some way, because they recognize that I'm a Maw Walker, and that I'm alive and not dead, and that I'm there to fix the problem of the machinery of death is broken. So anyway, story-wise, it doesn't make sense to me. And then from an MMO perspective, I mean, just if you go watch some other videos like Preach talking to Ian Hazzikostas as a really good example, um, then Ian, he admits it won't be perfect, and it won't. I mean, it just won't be balanced. I've been playing this game for 10 years, and I know for a fact that things are never balanced. They're always having to fix things. There's plenty of examples that have been provided, and everyone obviously knows about like Azerite gear, for example, um, and so on and so forth. I don't need to get into all that. Just to say it won't be balanced. It's a historical fact of WoW that WoW is not balanced, and things will need to be changed. So if I join Night Fae thinking that that's going to be really good, and then it gets balanced such that it's not really very good anymore, or maybe it's still good but not for my class or my spec, then game. And there's nothing I can do about that. That's going to happen. It will undoubtedly happen. And the fact is, you can change covenants. It's going to be a mildly difficult process, maybe a little more than mildly difficult. So in the long run, and not even that long, probably within the first couple of months, it's going to already be known. And anytime that there are balance changes, it will become known what the best class is, or what the best covenant is for, say, a warrior. I main a fury warrior. So do I have to be Kyrian when I'd rather be Night Fae? I mean, whichever way. My output will be diminished if I don't make the right choice. That's just, Ian wants to say that you get to make choices, and that there's no right choice or wrong choice necessarily, but there is. And the fact that you can change your covenants means that you will be forced. You will be forced. This is an MMO where if I try to join a raid, like I'm not in a raiding guild. I just going back to being a father, I don't have time to commit. I don't want to have people relying on me when I realistically can't prioritize WoW like that with my time. So but if I try to do an LFR, or I do a looking for group and join a normal raid, which are things that I've done, I don't want to wind up getting kicked out because my throughput is not good enough, because I'm fighting against other people who made better covenant choices than me, or anything like that. I don't want to feel penalized in any way for my choice like that, because that just doesn't really make sense to me, that I was forced into a choice that is going to take a long time to fix in order to do some content. And that doesn't even talk about when I feel like doing PvP, if I have some time. So anyway, just to say, as an MMO, the meta exists. The meta will always exist. There's actually nothing that you can do about that, because it's a bunch of people getting together who want to be successful. They want to succeed in defeating bosses, or winning battlegrounds, or anything else. People play, yes, to have fun, but a big part of fun for people is winning and feeling like you're powerful. And yes, there are other things that are fun, like abilities that can transport you around in some kind of way. Like being a Fury Warrior is awesome. I love the mobility of it, and so getting additional mobility effects, or getting ranged abilities like the Essence. I forget what it's called, but it's a ranged ability that I can do damage to an enemy, or a healing over time to someone that's to an ally. Like, I love that. It's actually a lot of fun, in my opinion, to have that ability, because it's something different than I would normally have, and so that's been fun. I don't know that it's the best that I could be using. But I don't care because, like I said, I'm not a min-maxer anymore. So anyway, but I'm not trying to do heroic rating and anyone or mythic rating. And anyone who is trying to do those things is not going to have a choice. They will not. And if I were to go to a raid and try and progress in that way, I would have to make change. And then from an RPG perspective, I personally think it's a lot more flavorful to be an adventuring diplomat that's out to solve the problem that the machinery of death is broken, than to make an alliance with just one covenant. Uh, like, if I go, my thought is I go to Shadowlands and I'm there to fix a problem and deal with Sylvanas and so on and so forth, or figure out what she's up to at least, if not deal with her. Um, and and so going there, fulfilling my like the fantasy of my character is it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't feel like I'm role playing the my character if I'm going to go and choose a single covenant when I know that I could actually be more, I could do more, I could be more useful if I was actually helping all of the covenants, if I actually uh, regained souls for all four of the covenants. And it makes sense to me flavorfully that they would lend me their aid and give me the abilities. Like all of them would want to give me their abilities to say, hey, the more renown you get with us, the more we're going to accept you and you've proven yourself to us. And why should they exclude me just because, why should Kyrian say, no, we're not going to let you in. We're not going to give you any of our power or anything like that because you've chosen the Night Fae. You've made your choice, and we're not here for you. That just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't, like, as far as a role playing perspective. If I feel cut off by that, and if I have to, like, it's not in keeping with my character, who I am as a person, and the way I want to imbue my character. Uh, and like actualize my fantasy of my warrior to uh, just abandon a covenant because I have to. I've got to get these other abilities, or I need to get these other transmog things. Just the different. I can't think of the word that I'm looking for. But anyway, yeah, just all of the mounts, gear, etc., etc. Um, yeah. Anyway, like it, that's not very honor. There's not a lot of honor in just, well, I got to dip because there's some gear that I want to look like um, whenever I feel like looking that way, and so that. From an RPG perspective, it just really doesn't make sense. I feel like uh, it doesn't make sense. Then, as I mentioned, I am a father. Uh, I have 4 kids. I work 40 to 50 hours a week. I just don't have time to change covenants if I find myself dissatisfied. It's really not how I want to spend my time. I already uh, try not to spend actual money on my subscription. I try to buy the WoW token, but that's kind of difficult when I can't really dedicate that much time to the game. So you know, I go farming for herbs and and ore, and I make different things. I have multiple. I do have multiple characters um, in order to do professions and different things like that. But um, I don't want to have. I don't want to be forced to have three alts specifically so that I can get all the cosmetics that I want. That's the word I was looking for, cosmetics. Um, like I that I have to dedicate to three separate alts specifically so I can get all my cosmetics and or I have to jump through all the Blizzard's hoops for like so now I'm spending hours uh, multiple days a week, a couple weeks even, just steadily working through the process of changing covenants when I could be farming for gold somehow or farming for mounts, which those are things that I enjoy doing. So now I'm not playing the game the way I want in the limited time that I have because Blizzard has decided that I should be forced into a covenant, and if I don't like it, then I have to be punished. Like that's the problem, is that if I don't play the game the way they've set it up, then I will be punished. And this is a problem that they have struggled with over the years is punishing players for playing the game the way they want to. It is a genuine issue. So let's see. Uh, as I guess my solution for this it would be that you would choose your covenant once a day. So each day you say which covenant you want to work with and help. You want to grow your renown with this covenant this one day. Uh, and that way there's kind of like I get to choose. I get to play around with all the different abilities rather than feeling stuck like, okay, well, now I've played the game for 2 years with the same covenant. Um, and I've had the same abilities this whole time. And no, actually, there are four different covenants, and I get to enjoy all four of them and the different abilities and the different cosmetics. And not only that, but it makes sense from a story perspective. And if I decide that I want to raid today, I can choose the best covenant for raiding for my spec or class, whichever way it works out. If I'm gonna, yeah, like if I'm gonna heal today, then I can choose the best for healing. If I'm gonna tank, I can choose the best covenant for tanking. If I'm gonna DPS as like I guess for as a warrior, um, like tank or DPS, like I get to choose which one's gonna be better for me, depending on what I want to do. And let's say the next day I want to PvP because I do enjoy battlegrounds sometimes, or just um, every once in a great while I do have done arenas. And let's say I want to do one of those things, any one of those things. I can choose whichever covenant is going to be best for me or what I perceive to be best. But like I said, it's an MMO. It's going to be solved. It will be figured out. So I would choose whichever one's best for what I want to do. If I want to go out leveling, because I do actually love leveling, then I, I'll choose whatever covenant makes the most sense or what seems most fun to me um, for that day. And that way I'm getting the experience of all the covenants and I can build my renown with all of them. And that makes a lot of sense because I'm literally trying to serve the purpose. I'm walking like I'm a mall walker. I'm out there doing the work of fixing this problem and fighting the jailer and dealing with Sylvanas, whatever she's up to. Like it makes sense. And this way, Blizzard also gets what they want, which is to say, they don't want it to be that every single fight, uh, so you go to a raid and you're in mythic progression, and every single boss you're changing which covenant you're in to whatever the best covenant is for that specific fight. Well, you could say there are 12 bosses in this raid, and I'm going to have strengths and weaknesses based on whichever covenant I choose. And so I'm going to choose the covenant that I perceive or that's been figured out by the community to be the best for this raid. And so, yes, I'll be strong, but I will still have weaknesses. So, like, for example, if there's a lot of single target encounters um, in a specific raid, then you choose the single target covenant, if you want to put it like that. And but when there are AoE situations, then you're not going to be as strong. You're going to be weaker. And so then Blizzard are still getting what they want, which is consequences for choices, and not being in a situation where you're just adding another thing for every single fight. But we're still getting what we want, which is actual choice, because they're talking about choice. This is not what they have proposed, is not actually choice. It is just not choice. It is being forced into a decision, and we'll have to change it and stick with it. It's really not meaningful in a year, in 2 months, even. It it will be figured out, and people will just switch. And when the balance changes come, people will switch again, and there's no choices involved. Which is why I think that choosing your covenant once a day makes a lot more sense. It basically makes you a diplomat of the Shadowlands, where you're there to serve the purpose, and whichever covenant is going to best serve the purpose, whichever covenant you can best serve the purpose with that day, is the one you would choose. And then, so for example, you could get like a buff, or something like Might of the Kyrian, or Blessing of the Night Fae, or something like that. And then you just get those abilities that covenant can provide you, and they say, yeah, thanks for helping us today. um, and you go build your renown with them, and you get access to all of their cool stuff, dance parties, and teleportation systems, and all those kinds of good things. um, and then I guess for my last comment is that Blizzard is making a choice. They get to make a choice right now, and we as the players have to live with the consequences rather than them, which is ironic considering this whole conversation that we've been having. I really appreciate what Preach's conversation, everything that Bellular does. I like Asmongold reacts videos because that make it. They are telling the future. It's true. It's going to be a problem, and Blizzard can make a choice right now. We're still in beta. They can make a choice to fix this, because it is a problem. It is genuinely a definite problem for everyone, from the mythic progression raiders that min-max everything, to me, uh, a father who works a lot and wants to spend time. I want to spend time with my kids. I don't just get home and ignore my kids. I still make dinner. I still do stuff with my kids. I still play games. I can't just say, hey, I got WoW to play. Sorry, guys. It's just not like that. So, Blizzard it's in their court, as they say, and I really hope that they make the choice to do something. It doesn't have to be the solution I present. That just makes a lot of sense to me from a story perspective, an RPG perspective, an MMO perspective, and just in general. I think it would be fun. It would actually be fun to every day have the choice to decide what I want to do and how I want to play. It's like, what am I in the mood for today? And that actually creates a daily choice where there are daily consequences that are actually fun and satisfying. Um, and when balance changes come down the line, which they definitely 100% will, it will be it will not be punishing. It will not be punishing to the players who've made a choice to be in a covenant that just got screwed. Like, so it that's really all I have to say about it. And so, thanks for taking the time to listen to me go on for a long time about this. Cheers.